that date is now my sobriety date. I, of course, didn't know that day that date was going to be my sobriety date.
Right.
But that is when I basically became open-minded enough to try this new meeting. People kept telling me, like, you got to try this other meeting. Because I was only going to young people's meetings where everyone, like, doesn't do God and we're all cool and angsty and have a lot of piercings, although I didn't have a lot of piercings. And people were like, go to this meeting, like there's old timers there, whatever. And I was like, I don't know. It was at 6:30 in the morning. And I was like, I'm not a morning person. No. And then Christmas Eve of 2020, I had like an overnight panic attack thing. So I was up at 6 a.m. anyway, Christmas morning. And I was like, all right, we're going to go for it.
Was it a physical meeting or an online
physical
meeting?
meeting.
Okay.
So it was one of the only in-person meetings happening in Minneapolis at the time. It was in a warehouse instead of in like a church or something. So I think they just like weren't doing the policies that anywhere else was. So there's like 40 people in there on Christmas morning. So I go to this in-person meeting. It's like a snowstorm, like doesn't even matter. I've already committed. I'm awake. I'm going. I walk into this meeting late because I sat outside for a while after I get all the way there. And then I'm like, it's Christmas morning. Like probably only like loser people are here. Like who else is going to have nothing to do Christmas morning? Like this is going to suck. So I finally get myself to go in. And then like, I don't know how to explain it except like something about me, I think had like hit a real rock bottom that I like became open-minded that day. And that meeting remains my home group today. That meeting, like people freely use the word God. People were very clear that like, that's the problem is that I just like wasn't going to do that part of the program. And something like, I just got so curious, I think is the only way that I can explain it. Like I just had this motivation and drive of like, these people have something that I cannot explain, but that there's like this engine pushing me toward. And I started showing up to that meeting every single day. They do a different meeting on Saturdays. It's a Sunday to Friday meeting, and then they all go to the same place on Saturday. So I started going every single day. There was like a big book study that was starting associated with that meeting. I started going to that every week. And just like really opening up to really God in a way that I hadn't before. And then my sobriety date is January 4th of 2021. And that's a day where I had asked someone who went to that meeting, who's now my husband, to like, what are you doing? Like he's so happy. I'm like, what do you do? And he was like, I'll show you. Hop in the truck. So we like drive to St. Paul, which feels very far away when you're in Minneapolis. And drive up to what I now know to be a church. And we like go to walk in and I'm like,
what are you doing?
Yeah. Why are we here? What does this have to do with anything? And he's like, just stop talking. Follow me. And we went in and I got on my knees and like gave my life to God in the church that day. Which is like, not only did I not want anything to do with God, I especially didn't want anything to do with like a God that looked like that. And it was a Catholic church, so it wasn't just like a cross that was up front. I don't know if you've ever been in a Catholic church, but there's like the whole bloody thing is hanging on, like Jesus's whole body is hanging there. And I've like didn't have a ton of exposure to Catholic churches, so this is like just so extra, right? And it's one of those ones where there's like velvet on everything and the kneelers, and I'm right up front. But I like, God is present everywhere, right? I by no means think that I had to be inside of that building for that to happen, but something happened inside of that building that day where I like felt something that I now describe as God's grace. I would never have even used that word at the time. But that I now know, like, that's what was moving.
You were ready.
I was ready. That's what was moving that day. And that date is now my sobriety date. I, of course, didn't know that day that date was going to be my sobriety date.
Right. But, you know, at the end of the day, it really is all about us. And when we are ready to accept those things that are real about us, the truth about us, the things that everybody's been telling us along the way. And we said, no, but you don't understand.
Yeah.
And, you know, there it is.
Yeah. To be able to say, like, I was wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is.